Hi, Katzcradul here. Believe it or not, I'm going into the kitchen today to make a recipe for you. I saw several months ago Noreen made a video where she used some saltine crackers and then poured some toffee over it and made a great dessert. And I'm going to do the same thing today with just a little bit of different twist, but it's kind of on the same idea of what she did. I'm just using a little butter that was left on a wrapper to grease a pan here. I guess you could put down parchment paper or aluminum foil to keep from making a big old mess. And then what I did, I didn't have saltines like Noreen used, but I had townhouse crackers, Keebler townhouse crackers, and I used a sleeve and a half of those to fill up this tray. I didn't even really go back and look at her recipe. I looked at a couple online to see if anybody had ever used like a Ritz cracker or a Keebler Townhouse, and they had, so I felt pretty confident to be all right. So I just filled up that tray, and then I used half of what the recipe called for. It called for a cup of butter and a cup of brown sugar, and that seemed like an awful lot to me. So I just cut that in half. I used a half of a cup of butter, which is one stick, and a half a cup of brown sugar. And I just put that on heat and boiled it for 3 minutes, and it made this kind of syrupy thing that's going to turn into toffee. And I just took a spoon. I made the mistake. I had some brown sugar that had gotten kind of hard, and I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to use that because it'll melt down anyway with the butter. Well, wrong. That wasn't a terrific idea. The butter and the brown sugar didn't quite incorporate exactly like I would have wanted to. It did make a good toffee, but there was a little extra butter in the pan. You can kind of see when I tilt the pan there that I'm draining the excess butter off. I just didn't feel like I needed any more butter on those crackers than was already on them. So I'm trying to get every last little bit of the toffee off here. If I'd have made a full batch, it would have, I'm sure, covered all of the crackers completely, but I just felt like that was an awful lot of brown sugar and butter to be putting on that, and I was just going to see if I could get away with a half a batch of the toffee, and sure enough, it ended up working okay. And as far as the taste, there was plenty of toffee on there. So here's the last little bit going on, and then I just, with the back of the spoon, just kind of spread it out to get it to cover the crackers. And I didn't spend a long time doing this because the toffee wants to set up, and so I just slipped it in my 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes. And then when it comes out, I shook a bag of semi-sweet chocolate morsels on it, and they should start melting right away because the crackers and the toffee are hot. And I'm just using an offset spatula here to spread it around. If you put your morsels on and they don't, if you wait a few minutes and they don't feel like they're going to spread, then just put them back in the warm oven. Of course, you've already turned the oven off by now, but just put them back in that warm oven for about a minute, and then take them out and try spreading them again, and they should just spread just like butter. So if you get a little too much chocolate in one place, go ahead and pick it up and smear it over on the part that isn't covered. I'm being just a little bit careful here because it's Friday night, and I wanted to make a snack for movie night, but I didn't want to make a big old mess. And of course, I didn't line it with parchment or aluminum foil, so I really don't want to be scrubbing chocolate and toffee all off the side of the pan. So I'm hoping it's going to come out pretty easily. So that looks pretty good. I'm getting it pretty much covered there, and really one bag is plenty. You just have to work a little bit to get the chocolate in the place where it needs to be. So once that's done, I sprinkled it with chopped pecans. Now this is where I would change up just a little bit if I ever do it again. I would roast those pecans, and then I would put them in my food processor, and I'd chop them much finer and then just press that into the chocolate. These did pretty good, but some of the pieces were kind of big, and when I broke it up, some of them fell off, which isn't any problem. You just eat those anyway. But if I would have ground them up a little finer, that would have worked better. You can see there's kind of a bare spot over there. Prepare didn't want any pecans on her part. So all I did was just put it out on my freezer in my garage. It was really cold out there, and I left it for about 10 minutes, I guess. I probably could have left it about 5 minutes longer, because you'll see as I break some of the pieces apart, some of the chocolate wants to come off of one piece onto another That's the bottom of it. The toffee, you can see gluing all the crackers together. See, you can see a little piece of chocolate, I think, on the next piece. Yeah, see how the chocolate kind of wanted to pull off. But that's no big deal. All I did when I broke it up was just put it back out there on that freezer, and that's where we just stored it, and we'd go get it if we wanted some. My family absolutely loved this. In fact, when the last little part was gone, Paladin Prepper said, can you make this again for movie night next week? They really loved it. It was very delicious, and it was nice to have the sweet of the chocolate with the saltiness of the cracker and the butteriness of the toffee. It's just a really good treat and so easy to make. I'll post the recipe below, and I hope you give it a try. And until next time, this is Katzcradul.